see the promised land? Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. I can see the promised land. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Can you see the promised victory ahead? All eyes with me, I see the victory ahead now. The things that you have for me, the plans what you have for me, all the blessings you have for me, I'm walking in victory. So when the trumpet blows, Father, take me to the sky. Oh yeah, Lord, I'm ready for you. Hallelujah. Lord, I'm ready for you. Hallelujah. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. I can see the promised land. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. I can see the promise. Hold on a little longer. My Jesus is coming. My Jesus is coming back for you and I. Step up, get ready, ready. Wake up, be ready, ready. Get your heart in order. Time is getting shorter. Boy, will you be caught up in the air to meet the Lord in the sky? So when the trumpet blows, Father, take me to the sky. Oh yeah, Lord, I'm ready for you. Hallelujah. Lord, I'm ready for you. Hallelujah. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. I can see the promised land. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. Over there, over there. I can see the promised land. Hold a little longer. My Jesus is coming back. My Jesus is coming back for you and I.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Tune into the Street 919 FM this and every Thursday for the program Conscious Talk, where we are at and where we are going with Steve Antoine. A journey begins with a single step, but if you walk in fear, the journey becomes much longer. Be honest, be brave. Every Thursday from 10:25 a.m. to 10:55 a.m. It's Conscious Talk.
All right, Trinidad and Tobago, we now take you over to Mr. Steve Antoine. Go right ahead, sir.
A pleasant morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege once again to be in your company on Conscious Talks. Happy holiday to each one. And this morning, before I move on, I wish to tell all the young people in Trinidad and Tobago a pleasant morning. And I wish to say consciously, last night before you all went to bed, young people, I'm asking, did you always go down on your knees and ask God to guide you all through the night? And then again this morning, did you go down on your knees and thank God for sparing your life so that you can see another day? And this is for the young people. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, the program is very tight, and last week I tried to bring forward a situation as regards the Mandela Park sign in the King George V Park, where the sign, I should say, is not a statue, just a sign, and it's in a deplorable condition, which doesn't dignify Mr. Nelson Mandela. So this morning I brought I'm putting forward some videos to indicate who is Mr. Nelson Mandela. So ladies and gentlemen, we know the radio has been revolutionized. So in order to see the video, I ask that you tell a friend to tell a friend, to tell a neighbor, to tell Aji, Aja, Nani, Nana, everyone to go on 91.9 Facebook and view the video and autobiography of Mr. Nelson Mandela, as the director will now post for us.
For South Africa and mediated in difficult situations. At home, the spirit of the people rose, many for the first time in their lives feeling optimistic for the future. The Nobel Prize was one of many acknowledgements Mandela received for his contributions as a great diplomat, rights campaigner, and pacifist. After one term as president, Mandela retired from politics, devoting himself to family life, and to supporting various causes, including the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Make Poverty History, numerous children's charities, and human rights campaigns. He also set up 46664, the AIDS fundraising campaign, named after his prison number, and a cause particularly close to his heart. In 2004, at the age of 85, he scaled back his commitments due to health reasons. Though he didn't rule out future involvements, he made it clear he wanted some space. Don't call me, I'll call you. And call he did, continuing to tackle some of the world's toughest problems. A true champion of freedom and the human spirit.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's one regret I've had throughout my life, that I never became the heavyweight boxing champion of the world.
And we thank you, Mr. President, for being the person we'd all like to be on our best day.
In 2008, an old, frail-looking man stood on a stage. But it was not just a stage. This man stood on the world stage. And the world looked on and applauded him and genuinely wished him well. It had been a long, tumultuous journey for this man, all the way from the simple hut in the Transky 90 years earlier. And it had been a long and lonely struggle to find a path through the fog of prejudice and suspicion, through the murk of corruption and greed. But he made it through. And in so doing, this one man changed his own life, and the lives of his countrymen, and those of millions, even billions of people around the world. This one man, Nelson Mandela, bestowed a precious gift. He showed us all that, even in our darkest moment, there is still hope, and we must never give up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a little tickler in terms of the autobiography of Mr. Nelson Mandela. I have again another video. This video, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit long and lengthy. I wish to ask the people of this country, Trinidad and Tobago, to look into this situation as regards the Nelson Mandela Park sign. As we go again to hear the 7 best speeches of Mr. Nelson Mandela. This is like about 14 minutes long, so I'll give way to Mr. Mandela this morning, ladies and gentlemen, as I ask the director to bring on the other soundbite with Mr. Nelson Mandela.
But as we argued as to who should tell his or her name, she became very cross. And she said, "You seem to be a backward person. Have you passed your matric?" Now, matric in our country is a university entry examination. And I said, "Well, lady, you must be very careful. Because if the qualification to speak to you against white domination, I have fought very firmly against black domination. I cherish the ideal of a new South Africa where all South Africans are equal. For anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation." Apparently, Mr. Coppel, you have not listened to my argument. If you have done so, then you have not been serious in examining it. I have replied to one of our friends here that I have refused to be drawn into the differences that exist between various communities inside the USA. You have not commented that I am going to offend anybody by refusing to involve myself in the internal affairs of the USA. of the USA. Why are you so keen that I should involve myself in the internal affairs of Cuba and Libya?
No.
I expect you to be consistent. I don't know if I have paralyzed you.
No. I'm afraid, Mr. Mandela, that paralysis does not set in quite that easily in my case. The point...
When I found some place in my country and a lady answered the telephone, I then asked, "To whom am I speaking?" She said, "You're speaking to me." I said, "Well, lady, I know I'm speaking to you, but what's your name?" She said, "Who are you to ask for my name? What's your name?" I say, "Well, lady, as soon as you tell me your name, I'll tell you mine." But as we argued as to who should tell his or her name, she became very cross. And she said, "You seem to be a backward person. Have you passed your matric?" Now, matric in our country is a university entry examination. And I said, "Well, lady, you must be very careful. Because if the qualification to speak to you is the possession of a matric certificate, I might work hard and pass my matric and be in the same class as you are." That was treason. She said, "You will never be in my class," and bang the telephone. How I wish she were here today. She would now discover that I have achieved more than pass my matric. The very right to be human is denied every day to hundreds of millions of people as a result of poverty and the unavailability of basic necessities such as food, jobs, water and shelter, education, health care, and a healthy environment. As I sit in Kunu, my village, and grow as ancient as its hills, I will continue to entertain the hope that there has emerged a cadre of leaders in my own country and region, on my continent, and in the world, which will not allow that any should be denied their freedom as we were, that any should be turned into refugees as we were, that any should be condemned to go hungry as we were, that any should be stripped of their human dignity as we were. The time for the healing of the wounds has come. The moment to bridge the chasms that divide us has come. The time to build is upon us. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. We commit ourselves to the construction of a complete, just, and lasting peace. We understand it still that there is no easy road to freedom. We know it well that none of us acting alone can achieve success. We must therefore act together as a united people for national reconciliation, for nation building, for the birth of a new world. Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace for all. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign.
Then you were convicted in 1964.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Conscious Talks, and we are playing some snippets from Mr. Nelson Mandela as to who is Nelson Mandela, Mr. Nelson Mandela, so as the director will continue, ladies and gentlemen.
For conspiracy against the state, and when you pleaded, you said that I am willing to die for this cause. This is a very tough thing to say.
Yes, I had to say that, not from a spirit of bravado, but because I genuinely felt that they were going to hang us. And it is the desire of every freedom fighter to disappear under a cloud of glory rather than that of shame. It is the task of a freedom fighter, when you see that the end of your days has come, to live a tradition of bravery, determination to face even death for your principles. And I thought about it. It was not because I was brave, but because one had a duty to perform at that moment.
I have dedicated my life to this struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons will live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an idea for which I hope to live for and to see realized. But my Lord, if it needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
In 1993,
because of time constraint, I think we the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension the world at large, heard and supposed to know Mr. Nelson Mandela. I put some words here to describe Mr. Nelson Mandela: humility, charisma, assertiveness, love, peace, determination, humorous, patriotic, revolutionist, bravery, principle, dedication, a man with testicular fortitude, ladies and gentlemen. And today I am seeing a sign, if the director could pull up that, and show the deplorable condition, my God, this sign is at. in the King George V Park, Mr. Nelson Mandela. What else could I say based on what we just heard? A man who has stood out in the world, ladies and gentlemen. There's a day called Nelson Mandela's Day, July the 18th. And I'm hoping that the Port of Spain Corporation, based on the fact we know we have an election and certain things has changed, but I do hope that they keep their promise, as indicated, that they would refurbish the King George Nelson Mandela sign in the King George V Park. Our heroes, Mr. Nelson Mandela is a hero. So I'll ask the director, even though the director cannot find the sign one time, there is a calypso, ladies and gentlemen, as I always say. By Calypsonian stories are told. Our heroes in this country is not being respected. So what do we expect from Mr. Nelson Mandela as the director played this calypso?
This song is specially dedicated to all my fellow Trinidadians. Trinidad has radiance, Trinidad is nice. When come to the heroes, we got to think twice. We got to learn how to bridge the gap, because there are people make us powerful on the map. The way we treat we heroes with scorn, and also wish they were never born. In other countries I realize their heroes are the ones whom they idolize. Jamaica bury the name of my to sing praise to their hero. But in my country we deliberately push the heroes below. Then we admire foreign culture we treat nowhere so low. We ought to know we shouldn't treat our heroes so. No, 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 no. We shouldn't treat our heroes so. No, 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 no. We shouldn't treat our heroes so. Being a rich country, that isn't all. My people convince me they're not patriotic at all. When they see their heroes, some will suck their teeth and depreciate them all along the streets. Spree Simon died in poverty, yet he never had a state funeral for him. Although he was founder upon, yet my nation didn't show appreciation. Stevie Wonder to demonstrator for the late Martin Luther, and Jubal Butler he fought for labor. We watch him die the pauper. Then we admire foreign culture we treat proper so low. We ought to know we shouldn't treat our heroes so. No, 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 no. We shouldn't treat our heroes so. No, 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 no. We shouldn't treat our heroes so. People like Crawford, Noel and Penny, regardless of what, we must show our sincerity. They have played their part, evidence is shown. Being a dot on the map, they make Trinidad well known. It's done differently in other countries, where the state provides facilities for their families. Their contributions we quickly forget, only because we love we heroes as yet. Cause
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if we do not have respect for our own, who is Mr. Nelson Mandela, as I read? The 27th of March 2023, His Worship the Mayor, Alderman Joel Martinez. Dear Sir, Mr. Joel Martinez, refurbish or remove Mandela Park sign in the King George V Park. I write this letter with the greatest level of respect and humility. I wish to humbly ask for your attention concerning the Mandela Park sign in the King George V Park. July 18, the birthday of former President, Mr. Nelson Mandela, to which we now celebrate International Mandela Day, where it is indicated Mr. Mandela epitomizes humanity, what we all hope to achieve as individuals while we traverse this limited season called life. And International Mandela Day is a day of recognizing and honoring him as the icon he was for inclusiveness, for equality, and is now most fitting in our generation that we have such an icon among ourselves to be able to aspire us as individuals, as a country, as a nation, as a people of the world. And I think it is only fitting that we continue to celebrate somebody, notwithstanding his passing on, that he has left a legacy of what humility and true human dignity and equality is about. I ask kindly in your capacity as the Mayor of Port of Spain, attention be paid to the Nelson Mandela sign. Request is being made for the refurbishment or immediate removal of the Nelson Mandela sign in the King George V Park. I strongly believe that there is not a level of equality in terms of maintenance to the Mandela sign as the King George V Park sign is in marble and therefore don't need much attention. It is also conflicting if it is Mandela or King George V Park. In 2021 on Emancipation Day, I have in my possession a photo of a peace tree as tall as the sign. That was on Emancipation Day, my God. A peace tree overpowering the sign on Emancipation Day. Total disrespect for the Afro-Trinidadian, the African, or the African descendants. Yes. Standing in front of the Mandela sign. In my view, that reflected a level of inequality. The sign is in bad condition and needs some kind of restoration. The sign does not reflect someone who has left a legacy of what humility and true human dignity and equality is about. It is in this regard I request humbly through your office for attention to refurbish or remove the Mandela sign completely. That was on the 27th of March 2023. I also made a letter to the Equal Opportunities Commission. I again forward another letter, the 27th of March, another letter, the 5th of April 2023, and it reads, I write this again, request for an audience with His Worship the Mayor concerning with the Mandela Park sign, with the Mandela sign in the King George V Park. I write this letter with the greatest level of respect and humility again. I wish to humbly ask for an audience with you concerning the Mandela Park sign in the King George V Park. July 18, the birthday of former President Mr. Nelson Mandela, to which we now celebrate International Mandela's Day, where it is indicated Mr. Mandela epitomized humanity, and we all have to achieve as individuals while we traverse this limited season called life. And International Mandela Day is a day of recognizing and honoring him as the icon he was for inclusiveness, for equality, and it is most fitting in our generation that we have such an icon among ourselves to be able to aspire us as individuals, as a country, as a nation, as a people of the world, that I think it is only right that we continue to celebrate somebody notwithstanding his passing on. That he had left a legacy of what humility and true human dignity and equality is about. I ask kindly for an audience with you, as I see this is very important. I look forward to meeting with you at your earliest possible convenience. I am also aware in your capacity as mayor, you have a lot more pressing issues to deal with. I await in anticipation for your affirmative response, as I also would like to offer my assistance in this project wherever or whatever is the final decision, ladies and gentlemen. For far too long, in this country, Trinidad and Tobago, the Africans, the Afro-Trinidadians, the African descendants, put it how you may. I am of mixed race. Could I put on something I'm of mixed race? I am of African descent. And I asked the young people in this country for us to be respectful and start asking for what we deserve. For far too long. A sign, imagine a sign, it's so deplorable. in Mr. Nelson Mandela's name in this country. I heard a gentleman spoke about consultation. That is the former mayor. That consultation wasn't given based on that sign. Yes? And I asked the question, how far should we go in terms of consultation when we just saw what Mr. Mandela is about? Yes? It hurts my heart to see where the Afro-Trinidadians or the African, tell me how you choose to, has to go with situations like these, ladies and gentlemen. It hurts my heart. And I am here not to badger, disrespect, or create any negativity in terms of situation like this. I think something like that, something like that, supposed to be straightforward. Yeah, it's only a sign for the gentleman. It's only a sign. So why should we have to literally be begging? Why should I have to come to actually be begging for the sign to be refurbished? So in closing, I call on the Port of Spain Corporation and Extension, the mayor, to see about the sign, the Mandela sign in the King George V Park. I thank you.
10:55 a.m. It's Conscious Talk. Conscious Talk. Talk.